Joining me now is a UFC heavyweight fighter who lost to Mark Godbeer via disqualification at UFC 217 on November 4th in New York City at Madison Square Garden. It is Walt Harris. Walt, how are you? Thank you very much for the time.
I appreciate you having me, man.
Awesome. Really do appreciate you taking the time, and hope you're well. Unfortunately, you came up short. Wasn't, a typical loss. You were disqualified because it was very a controversial situation. Basically, for anybody that didn't watch the card, which, most people did, it was a huge event. But if listeners didn't, so it seemed to hit your opponent, Mark Godbeer, in the groin, and then as the referee was trying to separate you guys, you landed a head kick, and then Godbeer couldn't continue, and then you ended up getting a DQ. What was going through your mind as you landed the kick? As the referee clearly was, I bet you knew right away something was up. But what happened from your point of view?
From my point of view, I landed a good strike to the body, and he didn't respond. He responded like most people do when you get hit to the body. He took, and I went in like I'm trained to, and I wanted to finish the fight. It's just unfortunate that, Grice was out of position, I believe, and, he didn't see it. I'm a left-handed fighter, so he should be on my open side so he can see the strike. He reacted based on what he thought how Mark Godbeer reacted. And, it's just unfortunate.
Upon rewatching the fight, which sure you have done maybe more than once, have you accepted that it was a low blow, or do you still think it was a strike to the body?
I've seen pictures. I've gotten so many pictures from different people, from my coaches. The strike landed on I guess you call it the belt line. It wasn't a knee to the groin at all. Like it definitely wasn't nowhere near his groin.
So then go ahead. Sorry.
Nah, yeah, you go ahead. It definitely wasn't a low blow.
Right.
That's just pretty much it.
And so going by that, if again, things like that, it's technically objective because it either wasn't or was, but, video can be strange and photos can be different and, it can be close. There's a fine line. So going by what you're saying, going by your opinion, you were entirely robbed of a win.
Oh, exactly. I feel like, if they would have done, I don't think they went to the replay review. I don't think they gave me the proper, my just due. I think they should have looked at the replay. And if you look at the replay, you would have saw the strike that the so-called he couldn't, continue from. He actually hit him in the neck. And I spoke with Dana White, and Dana even made a comment in the press conference. There wasn't a single thing that happened to him that he couldn't continue from. There was nothing. It'd be different if Grice was trying to pull me off of him, and I broke away, and I went and struck him while he wasn't, while he had already grabbed me. Everything was bang, bang. It wasn't like I had time to process. I'm in the middle of a combination, and I'm trying to finish a fight. Then I was already winning. So why would I do something illegal to hurt my chances of winning that fight? I clearly, everything that, if people say it was illegal or low blow, it was unintentional. So take your 5 minutes, recover, and come back out and fight. I don't take the easy way out. And I think that's what Dana was saying. I think a lot of people have been feeling that way. It's not just me. It's anybody who fights. If you get in the cage, you go out like a warrior. At least that's what we pride ourselves on being. So don't go in there and find the easy way out when you know you can't win the fight and if you can get it handed to you. And that's just what he did. And I don't respect that, bottom line.
Although the one problem is that apparently the doctor deemed Godbeer unable to continue. Again, sometimes it can be a fine line. Sometimes the fighter can sort of play off a little bit. Maybe they make themselves not look, able to compete or to continue. But it seems like the ultimate decision came from the doctor, and the doctor, looked at Godbeer and said, no, he can't continue. So I don't know how much. Do you sort of, did you feel that? Did it seem like that in the cage after it all happened, that it was the doctor saying, no, Godbeer can't continue, or do you still truly believe that it was Godbeer sort of just not wanting to continue himself?
I feel like he played it up. I feel like, from what I understood, it was Grice's call on the whole disqualification thing. That's what I'm upset about. It's like, right. Okay, he can't continue. Why am I being disqualified? Why such a harsh punishment for me when early in the night Curtis Blades kicked Fabricio Werdum while he was down. He was down. Like, that's clearly illegal. And he still got the win. My situation happened in the heat of battle in the middle of a combination. And I'm hit with a DQ, and he gets a win. Like, I don't understand how that works. I don't understand how Grice is the ref of those fights, and the outcome was different in both. Like, my fight, there's subjectivity in my situation. Like, it's like, okay, first of all, we're clinched up. I can't see his growing. All I know is I'm throwing a strike to his stomach, and he responds in a negative way. Most people, when they get hit in the nuts, if it hurts bad, and it hurt as bad as he pretended it hurt it, he would have took a knee. Like, for instance, John Dodson Saturday night took a knee when he got hit in the nuts. I can't fight, so I'm going to take a knee so you know I'm hurt. Not, okay, I'm reacting to a shot, and then I turn away. Like, so to me, I'm thinking he's hurt from the knee to the body. So I'm going in to finish the fight. I'm not stopping and going, okay, referee, is he okay? Should I continue? No, I'm going to finish the fight. And if the referee's in the right position, then there's no need for me to – there's no illegal strikes. He gets in between us and stops all of that, and then, we fighting after he gets recovered from the so-called illegal knee. So it's a bunch of bad situations that all came to head like at one time, and it sucks for me because I got disqualified when I was handling it. It'd be different if I wasn't winning it. I would understand, but I was on my way to a victory.
And you brought up a good point with the instant replay because, again, I actually haven't gone back, but now that the fact that you still think it wasn't a low blow, I will go back after just out of my curiosity's sake and determine for myself what I think. But you said that if they have instant replay, but it's interesting with the New York Commission. I don't know if you realize, but this was the first event for the UFC in New York that instant replay is allowed. But there's a rule that if they use instant replay, the fight cannot continue afterwards. It is over.
Well, I think if they used instant replay, they would have thought, okay, there was nothing illegal here, and I win the fight, just like Curtis Blades.
Right.
In that case, like if that, I didn't know that was the rule. So if that's the case, then you look at it from a standpoint of, okay, nothing illegal happened, let's continue. Like, or we can't continue, he wins the fight. Bottom line, like I just think that I got a fair shake in it. I don't even think they went to replay on my fight. So. It's kind of unfortunate, that I worked my butt off to perform as well as I did, and then to still come away with a loss. It just, so I'm contesting it right now, and I'm praying for the best.
Right. Did you talk to the referee after the fight?
No, I didn't, and that's the thing. Like, if he felt like it was a situation, like the only time I talked to him was in the cage, and I let him know, I'm like, I couldn't hear you. I'm fighting in Madison Square Garden, like. In the middle of a battle, I can't hear yelling time from behind me when I'm focused on Mark Godbeer. Like, that's impossible. I can't do your job and my job. So I didn't get a chance to speak with him after the fight. All I know is, I saw things he posted on Facebook about him being injured, his back being injured, his quads being injured. So that's probably why you're out of position. You can't move. You know what I mean? You can't move around like you need to. So, I don't know. It's crazy, man.
Right.
For the conspiracy theorists out there, here's a good one.
Do you know why they didn't watch the ending of this fight on immediate replay? Just because, again, to your point, if they determined that it was not low blow, you would have been given a TKO victory, just kind of like Curtis Blades. You would have said Godbeer still can't continue, but the damage was from a legal blow, and therefore, you're the winner. So, do you know why they didn't choose to watch this on instant replay?
I have no idea, bro. Like, that's the thing I'm still wondering. Why was my fight not reviewed? Why was there instant replay on mine? It still bothers my mind. Like, it's almost as if, like I said, Grice, like, he took it into his own hands. He was like, I yelled at you. And like, I couldn't hear you. So you can't take your mistake or what, a misunderstanding out on me. What you do is you say, okay, take the time to recover. And then we come back to fight. Don't just jump to the most rash conclusion that you can possibly come to. Like, it's just not fair, And he took a fight. But that's why I feel like it was a Grice situation, necessarily a doctor. I think his input influenced the doctor to be like, okay, no, he can't continue, blah, blah, blah. It just is messed up, man. It really is.
And this wasn't the only controversial moment of the night on November 4th. Curtis Blades, as you mentioned earlier, he got a TKO victory over Alexei Oleinik, but it was also stopped early because of a illegal kick from Blades. But then, of course, it just grazed the ear, and they determined that then it couldn't continue because of previous damage, which is fair in a way. Were you concerned? And there were, let me mention, there were other instances earlier in UFC fights in New York. Gegard Mousasi, the Chris Weidman fight with the legal knee. Were you concerned about fighting in New York with the commission, the fairly new commission, and it's already, there's been a number of controversies already. Were you worried about fighting in New York because of that?
Nah, man, I don't worry about what I can't control. I just do my job. I go in, I train hard, and I come in and I look at fights. And that was my goal that night. My goal, I was on the way to finishing Mark Godbeer. So it wouldn't have been a need for a commission, a judge, or anybody except to say the fight's over. I wanted to put him to sleep. And I felt like I was on my way to doing that. He knew he was on his way out. And it's just you can feel a man break inside the cage. And I broke him in the first round. He didn't expect me to wrestle. I out-wrestled him. I out-grappled him. And now he's got to stand in front of me. And I'm a striker. He didn't want to do that from the beginning. So how do you win the fight? He knew he couldn't win it. So he said, I'm taking it out. And he influenced the decision. I personally believe it. I know for a fact he played that up. Like, I've been hitting the groin 3 or 4 times in one round. And I stopped. I took a minute. And I came back out because I'm a fighter. That's what we do. That's what we train. I didn't train almost 14 weeks for him to come out there and quit. He would have had to kill me that night in the cage. And that's how I feel. Every time I step in there, I'm willing to die here. You're going to have to take me out on a gurney. I'm never going to quit. And I feel like he quit. And it's just he cheated the fans, he cheated me, he cheated a lot of people that night. So.
Right. And even you're blaming Mark Godbeer, and I think, you're entitled to your own opinion, and I think, it's fair that you think that, but also it's a commission issue, and I think you realize that as well. I mean, the doctor ultimately decided that Godbeer, or it was his final say that, Godbeer couldn't continue, and then the ref decided that you would be disqualified rather than, a no contest or a TKO win for yourself. Will you fight in New York again, considering, the commission might have screwed you?
Yeah, of course. I mean, like I said, I don't worry about what the commission, I can't control that. All I can do is go out and fight, and it was an honor to fight in Madison Square Garden. I was a basketball player, so to fight in there, it was a dream come true for me. A lot of my idols had performed there, had fought there, so, if we go back to Madison Square somewhere in New York, yeah, I'll go.
Awesome. And you, as you said a few minutes ago, you're appealing this fight. What is the latest on that? I know appeals can be a long process, and I know this just started. The fight wasn't that long ago, but what is the current status of that? Are you still, continuing with it? What are you at right now as far as the appeal goes? What step?
In the process, I mean, I've done everything they asked me to do as far as getting my statement put in. I've typed up my responses. I got people speaking on my behalf. I mean, we're taking it day at a time right now. I'm trying to get back in the cage as soon as possible. I've talked to Mick Maynard, and we're working on some stuff right now. So, it is what it is, man. All I can do is look for the silver lining in the situation. I was dominating the fight. I was doing everything I worked on and wanted to do. So we just keep moving forward as if it never happened.
Right. And you said in a different interview that UFC President Dana White said, to you, himself, that he believes you have a case, and he, told you might as well appeal it. You have nothing to lose. You have a case here. You might, you might win the appeal. Considering what, Dana's thoughts on this, do you think the UFC will sort of consider this an unofficial win for you, just because sometimes they do that? Like, I know if there's a really bad decision from the judges and a guy wins but lost, the losing fighter in that situation might get, a step up in competition. He might fight another winning fighter. It's clear he's being matched up in the future as a fighter who won that fight. Do you think the same situation will happen with you?
Yeah, I believe it will. Like Mick Maynard told me he was happy with the fight. He thought I looked awesome. Everybody that I talked to in the company was they were impressed with the performance. So I feel like it's just going to be up for me. It's not a step back. I like I said, it's out of my control as far as what the commission and what a referee sees and does. So all I can hope for is that, or continue to train and hope for is that the UFC keeps on pushing me. And, we keep doing what we're doing moving forward, man.
And you said that you talked to matchmaker Mick Maynard. Of course, you said in a different interview, as I mentioned, that you talked to Dana White. Besides Dana White, it seems like we know what his stance on this DQ is, but the other people you talked to inside the UFC brass, what were their thoughts as far as the result of this fight, the DQ loss?
I mean, they felt. I think everybody saw it the same. Like some people, just felt like he could have continued, and he didn't. He didn't want to. It was just different opinions. As far as like, what actually happened, because it happened so fast, and I don't think anybody really got a chance to. But for the most part, I felt like everybody saw and felt how I felt. Like there was a situation where it could have went either way as far as how the judge saw it. You can't. But disqualification, like you can't say, like that's crazy. Like that blows my mind. I've seen way worse things happen inside the octagon, and nobody gets anything. They just break them up and they come back out and they keep fighting. So I don't know. It's just a messed up situation, man. But like I said, I got the fans, everybody been reaching out. I had something, it's dirty, whatever. A lot of people like he was yelling. Well, it's easy to hear him yell on TV because he's mic'd up and there's microphones all over the cage. Of course you hear him. They want you to hear him. He's mic'd up. But for the cage, there are no mics on myself, Mark Godbeer, none of that. And we can't hear that. So it is what it is, man.
Of course, you were doing well in the fight. You were winning up until the blow that that stopped the fight, that forced the referee to intervene, and then of course caused the DQ. You're doing well going forward. What is next? Do you want to run it back? Do you want to reschedule it a third time, or are you looking past Mark Godbeer from here on out?
I'm looking past Mark Godbeer, man. He ain't on my level. That's just how I feel about him. I feel like he know that. I feel like he know he can't compete with me. So what's the point of running it back so we can do it all over again and I can end it how it's supposed to? I guess, that's cool. If that's what the UFC want, then I'm down for that. But me personally, I'm looking past him. I'm trying to move up. And I feel like a lateral move. So
I want to go back and actually go backwards before the Mark Godbeer fight. Of course, before that, you fought Fabricio Werdum, UFC 216, 1 month, one pay-per-view before your fight at MSG. You were supposed to fight Mark Godbeer. Derek Lewis pulled out just the day before the fight, I believe it was, and you stepped in. You took on former champion Fabricio Werdum. What was the turnaround in this fight, like in the Godbeer fight that actually happened? What did he turn around the very short notice, turn around having only a month to prepare or less actually? Did that affect you?
No, I didn't. I mean, like I said, I trained for him before I got to Fabricio for almost 12 weeks. So I got an extra 3 weeks to be working on the same thing, and I got time to go in and fine-tune my wrestling and which I got to see. We went back to the drawing board and said, okay, why wouldn't we wrestle this guy? Like, let's go ahead and focus on, because I can wrestle. Like, a lot of people don't really get to see that side of my game because of in fast or, it never plays out that way. So I wanted to go in there and showcase, my whole full set of skills. And I got a chance to do that. I didn't feel like, going back, having to again did anything. Just stay in shape and go back out and do what I plan to do from the beginning.
And people always say that you learn more from a loss than a win, and I think there's definitely some truth to that. But I think this Werdum fight, you probably, and I'll ask you this, but to me, it seems like you would have learned even more than any other loss, just because you fought a former champion. He's number 2 in the division, one of the best ever. And, although you got tapped out in the first round and didn't have much time to, do what your game plan was, and he got you out of there, quickly. But I got to imagine you learned more in this fight than any other fight. True or not?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I learned a lot about myself. I learned a lot about what I need to do and where I need to be moving forward. I think that fight gave me more confidence going forward, and it still has me on a relative high. Like, honestly, it didn't go my way, but Fabricio was a guy I looked up to. Before I started fighting, I was watching him fight. So, to fight him was an honor, So I know what I need to do, and I think when I get the chance to fight him again with the right preparation, I can win that fight. I do truly believe that in my heart.
And, fights like these are interesting also just because you weren't on bad terms with the UFC or even close to it, but I would imagine this puts you just on even better terms because they, you essentially did them a favor. You saved them a big fight. Verdum's, high-profile fighter. It was a main card fight. They already had lost, Paige Van Zandt. It wasn't a fantastic pay-per-view. You essentially did them a favor. I imagine, from here on out, you're just on even better terms with them.
Oh, yeah. I'm definitely, from talking to them and, speaking to them after Werdum, after the guy, we're at terms. I'm happy, they're happy. I have no complaints. I'm looking forward to what the future holds. I think they believe in me. They believe in my skill set and what I bring to the table in the heavyweight division, and I think they're happy with it. So I'm just gonna keep working, man. Keep getting better, keep growing, stay humble, and look for more from me in the future for sure.
Did you make more money for the Werdum fight than had you, remained fighting Godbeer that night?
Yeah.
And go into a bit more detail, or no? Did you
What do
were
you
you
mean?
able to?
I got a bump. I got a bump. Basically, around the same as I would have got to fight Godbeer, a little bit more. But it got basically what I got out of it was the understanding of I'm up for renegotiation. They're gonna take care of me on that end. So, it was more of a business move for me, honestly.
Have you been able to negotiate a new contract since that fight, or no?
No, I'm about to. I'm actually working. We're talking now.
Interesting. When would you like to? When do you expect to have that deal finalized? If you don't mind me asking.
In the next week or so. I'm just waiting on Mick to reach back out to me. I talked to him today, so I know he's a busy man, so I'm not hounding him, but he said he'd get with me, and we'll go from there, man. Like I told him, I'm ready to fight whenever they need me. If they can get me back in January, that'd be great. So I'm just staying ready, man.
Awesome. Well, congrats on the new deal. You certainly deserve it after, stepping up versus day's notice and everything like that. You definitely deserve it. What are you looking as far as on the new contract goes? Is it simply just a boost financially, or are there certain, a fight you want, or are there certain, non-monetary things you're looking for?
A little bit of everything you just mentioned. There's money. That's always good because I got a family to take care of first and foremost. And then, little things inside of the contract. I'm going to put in there, we're discussing. And then fights, man. I know that this is a boxing thing, and if that somehow falls under this new contract, I want to try to get some boxing matches in because I love to box. Just a few things like that, man. Just staying humble and not pushing the envelope too hard, but knowing my worth and saying what I want,
So, what is next for you? I know you mentioned January. That is when you would like to fight next, pretty soon from now. Another somewhat quick turnaround. Any opponent in mind? Any card? What is next for you?
Anybody. Whoever they offer. I'm going to fight them all. So, whatever the UFC like, whatever they see, they run it by me and it works, then we'll make it happen. I don't have a person per se in mind right now. Anybody. They all can get it. Unless you're my teammate. Anybody can get it.
Awesome. Well, Walt, thank you very much for your time. I do appreciate it. Before I let you go, let my audience know where they can find you on social media, and if there's anybody you'd like to thank or give a shout out to, the floor is yours.
It's the Big Ticket, man. Y'all catch me on Instagram at the Big Ticket 205, at Twitter at the same. I'm on Facebook, Walt Big Ticket Harris. Check me out on there. Just want to thank EW Motion, my wife, my kids, my family. I want to thank Fit 5 Meals, Born Sports Medicine, DJ Taylor, my strength and conditioning coach, all my coaches, John Guy, everybody, everybody, Dwight Smith, anybody who helped me get ready and believe in the Big Ticket and helping me keep pushing this thing forward. I just want to say thank you. I appreciate it.